Hello, and today it is Ask Dr. Heather. So, the last week of the month, I am answering your questions that you have regarding how you can be a better leader. And today I am answering the question, how can I improve how I communicate to my team so that they do their job correctly? So, I'm Dr. Heather Williamson with the Transformation Group, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to share with you how you as a boss can actually communicate more effectively with your team so they actually do what you are wanting them to do. And there is a quote that I love that I have used always when I am talking to teams, and that is from the movie Cool Hand Luke. And I know I'm probably dating myself, but it is a really good movie if you haven't seen it. And the line in the movie is, what we have here is a failure to communicate. And this is a common theme that I have found in many organizations. And it's because, we're all unique individual people and we all communicate in a way that we like to be communicated with. And so we have that expectation. So if you're a short, concise person, then that's how you're going to communicate. But if you're a person who is like a high I on the DISC assessment, if you're not familiar with that, that looks at your behavioral strengths, then that is a person who is kind of thinking their thoughts out loud. And just to give you some information, I'm a high I. So welcome back to the channel, and let's get started. All right, so communication is about sending a message and having that person receive that message. And it needs to be done in a way that is going to be received in an effective way. So in the end product is you're going to get what you are wanting by whatever date that you want it. And with that comes an expectation that you are getting a behavioral response from that person, right? So there are some tips that I want to share with you today. 3 tips actually. And the first is be logical. So our brain works in a way that is very logical. So there's an order to how we are interpreting things. And when it comes to communication, that also needs to be in a logical way. And with that, and I can think of examples of when I am in let's say back when you were doing a job interview, and I have done this in the past, which I no longer do. I was guilty of it. And that is I would be asking the person who is wanting the job, that interviewee, 3 questions at once in a sample, question. And when it comes to that, it's really hard for that person to remember the first question and the second question because they're only remembering the third one because that was the last thing they heard. So when it comes to, making requests or sharing information, do one thing at a time because then that person can focus on that. And it's also make sure that whatever sequence that you're giving that statement in or what you're communicating, that it is logical as well. It makes sense. The second tip is to pay attention and listen. A lot of times when we are communicating, you're sending that message to the receiver. That receiver is thinking already in his or her mind, I already know what he is saying, so I'm already thinking of a response. But I have found, and I have been guilty of this in the past, where my thought process of where that conversation is going is not where it ended up. And so basically I am preparing a response that is pretty much invalid because it's not even accurate. I wasn't listening. My mind was going someplace else. So pay attention and listen. And then the third tip is to be brief. And I'm going to give you an example of being brief. So this is an email that was actually sent to a company. And the email is, employees of XYZ company who are desirous of receiving additional copies of the new health benefits form should inform the receptionist of this office in order to obtain, without delay, the extra copies they should like to have. Now, if you are reading this, you're thinking, oh my God, now I'm totally lost because this really made no sense. It is very wordy. And what would have actually been a better email, because it's more concise, is if you want additional copies of the new health benefits form, notify the receptionist. Now, obviously, this makes a whole lot more sense because it is brief, to the point, and there is no interpretation, no error of interpretation, right? Pretty explanatory. So when you are giving messages, make sure that they make sense, make sure that they're logical, make sure that you are listening. You know, if you are thinking about the word listen, if you flip it around, it spells silent. You know, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We need to listen twice as much as we actually speak. And with two-way communication, it's also really important, as a function of that is active listening. And what that I mean by that is that if you are giving somebody a directive as a boss, such as, hey, I need that report by Friday at 3, make sure that that other person kind of reiterates what you just said. So example would be, so what I'm hearing you say, Dave, is that you want me to give you that Tallahassee report by Friday at 3 p.m. Email it to you. And then you're, of course, going, yes, that's exactly what I need. And then you know that that person is clear on what the expectation is. So that is hugely important to, you know, that two-way communication involving active listening. All right, so hopefully those tips were of value to you. You find them useful. And if they are, like down below. And don't forget to subscribe. And now I want you all to go out and be that boss that your employees want to work for. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.